Today we're going to talk about one of the most titanic barbarians to ever wear a bikini. What's up everybody, I'm Stan and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is an iRate review, the show where I go over a comic book, its story, its art, give you my impressions and let you know whether it's something you need to go back to the comic book shop for or not. Make sure you subscribe to get more of these every single week. The book that I want to talk about right now is from Dynamite Entertainment, Dynamite Comics, and it's going to be Red Sonja #1. So Red Sonja #1 has been on the hype train from a lot of people in my comments, as well as around the comic book industry in general, and I've never really had a chance to review a Dynamite comic. So Red Sonja #1, with its brand new issue, as well as a take on an old character that's being revitalized, I'm all in for it. So let's dive in and see what Dynamite has to offer. Everyone out there will have to forgive me because I'm coming into Red Sonja #1 from Dynamite Comics as a relative noob to Red Sonja. I haven't really read a whole heck of a lot of her comics, but what I get out of the introductory paragraph is more than enough to tell me about what the character is going to be portraying in the future. However, we don't start off with Sonja herself. We're going to be in Shadizar, the capital of the Zamoran Empire, where Dragon the Magnificent is going to be passing judgment on those who opposed him, including the previous kings. And while he does call forth the former king of Stygia, we actually see the explanation as to why Dragon the Magnificent is going to be expanding his empire, well, for what seems to be forever. There was a prophecy that is foretold that if he stops the expansion of his empire, he will die. The tree of Dragon will be felled and the wood will be harvested. So, as an emperor does, wanting to be vain, looking to live on forever, at this point in time, he is expanding to wherever he needs to go. And one of those lands that he sees, he just points out on the map, as if some sort of random gesture that this is the easiest and next place. At random, he's going to conquer it. And he asks this former king for his opinions on what that conquest would look like. And the people are the Hyrkanians. A simple folk living in huts of felt and grass. They've mastered the art of the self-cooking cow, but there's nothing really to offer the emperor. And that's unfortunately not what the emperor wants to hear, because the emperor himself, a very self-fulfilled man, seeing his own legacy before him, he wants his ego to be stroked. However, that does give us a good backstory, a set of context for Sonja's story as it kind of comes along, because now we only know her riding on this horse that is about to die, having escaped from a foreign land where she was under the influence of her teacher, Domo of the Kitai. And while he taught her strategy by playing chess and various other games and giving her instruction on how to move, how to strategize, how to become a better combatant, he didn't learn anything from her. However, that was the glory of his teachings. And what we find is that as her horse has passed away, these rebellious scum that have been following along with her, this she-devil trying to attack her, take her down, and bring her back to this foreign land, they come across her, unfortunately meeting the sharp end of her blade. Combat ensues, and unfortunately for them, Red Sonja, she is a master. Sonja the Red, Death's beloved. She takes them down with ease, showing no mercy, only to be welcomed into Hyrkania, her homeland. The many years that she has spent away from here, the legend of Sonja being built up, traveling all the way back to her homelands, the stars that she stared upon as she was a child. And now she's being called upon for a greater task. Through some sort of surprise and trickery, Sonja has become the elected queen of Hyrkania. And we know that with Dragon the Magnificent coming to conquer this land, she is going to be the sharp point of the spear heading straight into his army. And that's when we get the arrival of the messenger. Just like we saw him standing outside the gates of woe, reading off the judgments that are going to be happening, we get the demands that are going to be coming from Dragon. And what this reads like is some sort of, now that you've been inducted to our cult kind of pamphlet. It gives you the benefits that are going to be happening, the teachers, the fantastic civilization, teaching you how to dress, how to become more upscale and civilized, only and a mere 20,000 people to be used for ritualistic execution to their gods, or being sent into their military to be either used as fodder for their armies or to be brought into their armies themselves. However, at this point in time, because she doesn't necessarily care about Hyrkanians, she hasn't been here in ages. What kind of effort should she make to save this poor land? That's when her retainer tells her of the escaped child, her cousin, Cryon. And that may be just enough to get Sonja to pen a response. And the response that we see from Red Sonja is rather poignant, telling Dragon about the unfortunate nature of the Hyrkanians themselves. They're poor, they're untrustworthy, but they're free to give of what they have, and since he called their land that of filth and horseshit, we get nothing but a skull filled with horseshit sent before the Emperor, leading to a declaration of war that Hyrkania has never seen. But that is the introduction to Red Sonja #1, and overall I found it to be very entertaining. It is a bit more for mature readers, there's a little bit more blood, there's a little bit more gore, you're going to see some more body parts and things like that, but that's to be expected from something from the world of Conan and Red Sonja. I'd say that the storyline is actually relatively entertaining. I do have a bit of a conflict with some of the more modern speech patterns that these characters have. It doesn't quite feel true to the era that they're from or that they appear to be from, but the art seems to represent the characters very well, the action's very nice, and I find that it actually moves along really smoothly. So Dynamite Comics has a pretty solid offering in Red Sonja #1, but I want to know what you guys think too, so hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.